guys. Welcome to Talent Talk. I'm your guest host, Chingaze. So today we have a lovely, lovely show for you. Before we get to that lovely show, I'm supposed to say this is live and interactive. So if you have any questions or anything, please write them out and we'll get to them. The other thing is also if you could like and subscribe. I know it's simple. It's probably just a click away. And every time you do like and subscribe something, you help Gary, my boss, stand a little taller, feel a little stronger. That's all we're trying to do here. What else? So today, let's talk about today's guest for a second. Her name is Ayeshah Rose, and she is a multi-hyphenated artist. She is an actor, a writer. I know she's produced something. She might have directed, but she can tell me about that. And also a model. So without further ado, please help me welcome Miss Ayeshah Rose. Where is Ayeshah? There she is. Hello. Oh, lovely.
Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, by the way. Goodness. I believe you might be our furthest away guest.
Oh, this is so great. I've really always wanted to be that.
Emotionally, you're our furthest away guest emotionally and distantly. Where I see a squirrel outside my window staring at me and stealing our old apples. So I'm going to have to deal with that for about 5 minutes.
I see a kangaroo picking up its small Joey, just jumping into it. Wow. And then somebody's jumping on the back of the kangaroo and riding it to the local store.
Now, can you turn the camera around? Now, you shouldn't have to because you painted such a lovely picture with your words. I can literally turn this camera around because that son of a bitch is still eyeballing me while he's eating one of my hard-earned apples. Where are you if we couldn't guess by the marsupials? Where are you right now?
I'm in Sydney, Australia.
Woo. You're like 15 time zones away, so I have to say thank you again. What time is it there, by the way?
Oh, look, it's fine. It's 9:03 a.m. and it's a beautiful transitional seasonal day. It's like a beach day, but Sydney at this time of the year is always really beautiful.
Okay.
I mean, we have Christmas Day on the beach, you know.
I have done Christmas Day on the beach in another country. And it was weird, but it was the only place that was all white. So we're like, all right, let's go there. At Christmas, It's like 24 degrees. It was weird. I didn't care for it. So, Ayeshah, is Sydney, first of all, thanks again for joining us. How is the film community over there? Like, is it a hub? I don't know anything about Australia other than it's close to New Zealand.
It's very close to New Zealand. I was born in New Zealand, so yes, I got dropped off here on the way to England.
Nice.
Yeah, look, Sydney is definitely the place to be in Australia when it comes to film. Up north is slowly becoming more and more of a film hub, and I would say that we're becoming a bit of a landmark internationally for shooting film in terms of studio locations. And we've just got such an incredible, unique, adaptable backdrop. It's not just gum trees and kangaroos. There's so much more to this country. And I've definitely experienced like leaving Sydney to look for, to have different experiences. But when you come back home and you realize what you have, we've got rainforest, we've got, bushland, we've got desert, we've got so many different things. So I do understand for the US particularly to come here, and it's quite an asset, and we're building newer studios, and it's becoming definitely a central hub.
Okay. Can you think
5 to 10 years, it would be more and more prevalent to be shooting here.
Okay. Where I'm calling you from Calgary, Alberta. People know us because we have a stampede and we hosted an Olympics of some kind. I didn't compete because it was winter, but that's how people know us. But a lot of American companies shows come here because we have the mountains and we have the cheap dollar. That's why they're here. And We made pot legal a long time ago, so there's probably that.
That's why they come there.
Now, that's why they stay. I'm here for the free
Because they
help,
can't.
I guess. I was going to ask you, put you on the spot here, and ask you, what are some of the bigger productions? Have there been some movies or TV shows that were filmed in and around Sydney that I might have heard of? And knowing that I've heard of nothing, so go ahead. Can you think of anything? Are you Googling it?
You've got to do some reading, but Mad Max and there were some big films that have been shot here. Matrix, that was a very famous film that put the landmark.
I guess I forgot that, but obviously, old Smith, that guy, he was a great Australian. I forgot his name now. Hugo Weaving.
Yeah. That was shot. There's some of the most famous scenes were shot near Central train station, and I quite like that that area because it's got these beautiful arcs, sort of tunnels to go through with the car, and they closed it all down. And I think Sydney's got an incredible European influence, and it shows. So sometimes you see these beautiful like cobblestone spots around Sydney with these gum trees in the background, and you're like, "What? It's confusing."
In Sydney, in a lot of hot countries, they have this where they have the trees outside and they have the bottoms painted white. Do they have that in Sydney? Because I love that. It's so termites or something. Do they? No.
No.
All right. You know what? I'm not going to visit. You know what? Forget it.
Maybe they do. I mean, maybe I just don't know.
Well, you'd know more than me. You're already like a kangaroo ambassador and other stuff.
I'm a kangaroo ambassador. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Yes. I like myself. I wish I was a young kangaroo.
God damn it. I like myself too. Sorry, continue.
I like to jump back into the womb.
Into pockets. Into warm pockets.
I jump into pockets.
That's what this office has become for me. It's become my warm pocket. I hope that's not a euphemism for something out there. And guys, if it is, turn your safe searches off and look up warm pocket. But that's sort of what this office has become for me. It's like got comic books and toys. And that's a what's his name? Jim Henson. Right there. It's a Kermit the Frog.
You don't ever need to.
I don't have. Sorry, what did you ask me something personal?
You don't ever need to leave.
I don't ever need to leave?
You don't ever need to leave your pocket.
Oh, I don't ever need to leave. Yes, no, I don't need to leave my pocket. And I won't. Listen, we are having a little bit of a sound lag or something once in a while. And at that point, every time that happens, I'm just going to say, bear with me. We're having some technical issues. I've had to turn down the heat to save money in the house, so I'm just wearing 4 layers. Again, we're in Calgary, and it's always winter here. That's untrue. Ayesha, can I call you Ayesha?
Yes.
Thank you. Ayesha, how about, I'm just looking at my notes, casually staring down here at my notes. Could you tell me about your first couple of gigs? What was it? Because I did see something, and I know you did some home and away, right? You were on some. You laughing? Were you not on that? Have I done terrible research?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was on home and away.
Okay, but like,
great.
You can tell me about that. I thank you. You can tell me about that, or tell me about your first couple of gigs, while I drink from this comically large glass of water.
First few gigs were really interesting because, I was like 18, and my first professional gig was live television, and I had no idea how to navigate my way around that. I did a music video that went viral, and it was for a sports show called The Footy Show, and it went to #1, and it was it was a bit of a spoof, and audiences went crazy for it. And then I was invited back on the show to be a guest judge, and I honestly had no idea how to do live television or what I was supposed to say or wasn't supposed to say. And I said the wrong sponsor name. The sponsor it was a sports drink, and I said the wrong sports drink name. I didn't understand the importance of sponsorship at the time. I was just like, oh my god, am I going to say it right? They're putting me in a gold dress. I hope that it doesn't. It was like put together with like safety pins, so I was just worried about being stabbed or something falling.
Sure.
And it was the worst moment of my life, because I remember having dreams about it for about a week afterwards, just not sleeping well, because it really interesting, because I just said the name and everyone went, ooh, and I was just like, oh. And I got kicked under the table, and it was, whoa. I was escorted out of the studios politely by the production team, and I'm sure my career would have changed a little bit. It would have gone down another path if that worked out differently. But in a way, it made me step away for a couple of years and kind of really think about the importance of accountability and understanding the business side of the industry.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, a trial by fire. I couldn't even imagine coming back. I mean, good for you for that. I don't know if that's a lady thing, to be escorted politely. I've been thrown out of a few places, so I don't know if they're just like, well, let's just be nice and then just usher.
They were
Versus
definitely
get
not.
the hell out of here.
Yes,
But
they were nice.
Sponsors are very important. Very important. And if I could just take a second, just to say, I got it, Gary. That's my producer and partner. I'll say partner. Clear eyes for after you've had too much marijuana. They're not a sponsor yet, but it was on my desk, so I had to mention them. Ayesha, what else? So do you have nerves of steel? I was going to ask you about auditioning. Do you do a lot of auditioning?
Yeah, I
how are your
still
nerves?
My nerves are fine. I'm not nervous when I audition, because these days in this modern world, most of the auditions are done via self-tape, which means you sort of tape yourself and then you send the tape in. And this means you can get it right. You can do it as many times as you like until you're happy. So it's not really a realistic version of how it works, being in the room with different personalities and different energies, which is somebody else's space. So yeah, I suppose I'm not nervous because we very rarely get to be in the room physically these days.
Okay, but what I don't know how it works over there. Barely know how it works over here, but I've been doing the acting thing for about 12 years, and so now, yes, you get to rehearse, you get to work on the thing, you get to shoot it like 5-10 times if you need. I used to do a thing where I'd only shoot something 4 times, and I'd always send in the third one. That's some superstitious BS, because I thought it would be a lie if I went past 4. Like I'd be lying to myself. But after you do that, no matter how you get the foot in the door, then the next thing is that Skype one, and you're doing. And it's not even like this where it's like you and the person. It's just your face. You don't know if they're, you're saying so it's not really like being in the room, but it's a little bit like being in the room. Like suddenly my pocket isn't safe. How dare they make my pocket not safe?
Yeah. Pocket must have been safe.
So does that happen a bit? Do you do callback? Like, what are you auditioning for? Commercials?
You do a Zoom with the production team for sure, and all of a sudden, that little window of what you've created, it becomes so much smaller, and every single move, I overanalyze those things, because I look at things very technically, because you have to, and yeah, everything you say and do can be held against you. So I definitely watch myself and probably have these moments of observation, which is what they teach you in acting class not to do, is to direct yourself. And I'm constantly doing that.
You watch yourself a lot. Like, do you save those tapes? By the way, the auditions. Do you save them? Do you have like a folder?
I have like 3 or 4 favorites that I sort of every few years, 2 years, I'll have 2 self tapes that I really like, and I'll save them. Otherwise, most of the bigger jobs I'll put in a sort of Dropbox folder, and it's always good to access your progress, because in our industry, it's very difficult to monitor that unless you're working, essentially. And if you're not working for a few years, i.e. over COVID, and you're learning different skills, or you're upskilling or growing, or you're developing your own self, there's really very little ways to sort of monitor progress. So that's one way you can, is go, oh, look at my eye lines there, look at how still I am there, look at just the different technicalities that you might be moving through and practicing. So that is one way to keep track of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I was never one of those people who'd want to see, you're working on something and they're like, and the director or whoever, like, oh, you want to see that? That was a good one. You want to see that? And then like the three people, they all rush over, and I'm like, good God, no. Good God, no. Like, I want to see the thing I hate in the mirror. I'm like, let some other idiot deal with that. The only time I'd ever go and have a look is if someone was trying to describe something to you and they're like, walk here, look there, lift, do. It was some more a blocking thing. But if you couldn't get it right, if I couldn't get it right on 3 and they're going to the 4th one, I'm like, just let me see what, and then I have to go see it. You know what I mean?
It's so hard to let go of that. I think that's a real skill set in its own, isn't it, really? Letting go of over analysis, and also telling yourself you need to, like, planning the audition is probably one of the worst things or worst habits you can have, because it becomes a lot more rigid and sort of stoic. It's not as malleable or adaptable, which is what we're trying to reteach ourselves to be, not stuck on the goal, but the process.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I remember early where you're like, when I practiced, the person was here. I'm not able to do it here. See what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah. So kids out there, don't practice. And if you do practice, don't practice very hard. Ayeshah Rose, 2021. No, I'm writing that down. Do you still, so I was going to ask, what things are you either auditioning for more, or what things are you more interested in? Are you doing more commercial work? Are you doing like TV, film? What are you submitting for, and what are you getting more?
At the moment,
or modeling.
I just returned from the US, so for me, I'm still transitioning from my open, vivacious energy to a little bit more serious, because you have to be a lot more strategic, I think, in Sydney. Over in Los Angeles, you can kind of go out, and every single moment or occasion is an opportunity. So Sydney here, you have to absolutely create it. So I would say that I'm probably getting a bit more commercial work at the moment. I've only been back a few weeks, and I've got commercial work, and I'm doing some stunt work myself at the moment, working on my horse riding skills, which is, you have to be so strong for that. And I was doing about 6 months worth of training over in the States, Western style specifically, because it's something I'm really passionate about, and it's definitely within my wheelhouse as a brand. That word, brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, I'm auditioning. What I'm looking at, and what I was auditioning for a lot more pre-COVID, was feature films, and I'm really interested in fantasy, magic realism, supernatural, and sci-fi. I love, and action. So those are what I'm working in those genres. I feel like I'm more interested in those genres rather than horror, dark comedy, that sort of thing. Wow. So I think it's really important to just kind of focus on, for me, working on what you love, and if you're having fun, it'll translate.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm like, if the fun is being an actor or an actor, if you've been to school, I haven't, then the work is the work, and I mean, and that is the fun, and it doesn't matter. Like, the way I would think is, it doesn't matter if you're in a comedy or if you're in a drama or if you're whatever, because you're still learning lines, you're still working off of people, you're still trying to hit some marks. But you've you've fine-tuned it a little bit to actually even specifically target. So like, but you would work in a horror movie, right? Someone goes, hey, come on, read for this. It's probably okay.
To be
Or
honest,
do you
there's
have,
such power in saying no if you don't resonate with the material. And our job is to be the most authentic we can be. Therefore, genuinely inspired. So this last 2 nights, I was at the Opera House 2 nights in a row seeing a solo show that discussed gender and in a modern context. And then I went to the ballet last night, and I was just thinking to myself, this is great because I'm staying inspired. I'm staying actively absorbing art. And it does help. It really does help to shape what you're passionate about. I would say doing a horror is not something I would love unless there was a character arc that I resonated with, or it felt within my the parameters of what I like to discuss and what characters I like to play. Also, you got to think about if you're going genuinely there. I personally don't like to go to those places too much if you can help it. I just don't enjoy it as much. You know, that extreme tension, anxiety, high stakes, that sort of thing I love. I just don't particularly like genre. I know women actually apparently watch genre. They're the target audience for genre. Did you know that? Majority of horror watchers are women.
interesting. That leads me to a different thing is, do you take your characters home with you, or can you just kind of like, you know, when they're done, they're done? You carry that stuff with you a bit?
That's really such a great question, and I've only really started thinking
Thank
about it.
you.
Yes, well done. Do you know what? I never really believed in method acting. I always thought, oh, if you're not able to separate yourself and you need to embody it and become a heroin addict to play a heroin addict or lock yourself away for days, everyone's process is so unique, which I totally respect. I personally haven't really felt that method was something I believed in. But recently I've started preparing for a lead role next year in a feature film, and there is no choice but to bring that home. It's such an incredibly challenging role that you have to embody, and I don't have a choice but to think and feel it almost every day. I don't have the ability to separate it because it's so intrinsically part of who I am. So I come home and I'm thinking, and I'm listening to music that I make playlists, which is part of my character preparation. Always a playlist for the character. It's so fun. It's great.
Yeah, that's not many people do that. I think it was I'm gonna say his name wrong, but Marshala Ali, the guy who the fellow from the Green Book. He won the Academy Award. He was like the first Muslim guy to win the best actor or whatever. He was so busy on shows. He was often juggling three roles, three characters within a calendar year, and he was just like, how do you do this? And I separate them by music, and that's it. But the three dudes listen to completely different music, and that's enough for me. So yeah, that's great.
Everything has a score to it, I believe. Everything in art and film, every character has a score.
Okay. Are you creating that playlist 100% from your own going over of the script and whatnot, and just your own feeling of who this person might be, or are you reaching out to the director or writer and being like, are you getting any outside influence?
No,
not
at all.
It's all straight from the heart head.
The database. The database goes into, and then it's just kind of songs that I know that I like and that I feel like would fit into a moment, even if it's not in the script. I kind of imagine the character in certain moments, walking to something, being exacerbated from something, just the side effects of something else. And so that's where my head goes, is just the moments in between the stuff in the script.
Okay. To actually, to get into the emotional state of a scene versus how I was thinking, which was just, this is my character. My character listens to this. That's great. But to get you into that next, all right. I've used the Johnny Cash song "Hurt" to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Without looking
to cry, by the way. Sorry. Okay. Cool. I didn't get to ask you in our little pre-interview, again, because it's tomorrow morning for you. I did want to talk about the film that you made, that I'm sure you wrote, I'm sure you starred in, and did a stunt in it. It's not really a stunt, but I'd consider it a stunt. The film Me Too. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we can. Like, for sure. Yes,
Okay.
let's go there.
For me, I mentioned this to the wife, and she's just like, why don't you just shut the hell up and let her talk? It's been 30 years, and she's very smart, so I should probably just do that and not tell you what I thought the movie was about, and let you tell me.
Nah, you've already done it, so let's go there. Come on.
Wait, what have I done?
Male version of it.
Well, my male version, and again, don't Google that, kids. My male version, what I latched onto in that performance, by the way, very well done. What the part that resonated with me was the actor thing. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, 100%. I was there with you. I'm like, you bare your soul completely in front of the, piece of shit plastic table, these three dull faces, and it's just like, I've given you everything. What more do I have to give you? That's how I related to it. I'm just like, what more do we, not you, not me, we as artists, what do we have to give you? You blank face people, other than just knowing the material and coming here with how much education and how much life experience and being open. That's what I was getting out of it. This feels like mansplaining. Luckily, this isn't live, and we can.
It's very deep.
But could you tell me what it's about?
So I think you're 100% on the mark with the core of it.
My wife was wrong? Okay.
Me Too was a really difficult project. We had no money. It was my first film ever. I drove from LA to San Francisco to shoot it at a film school. We didn't have a budget to work within. One of the judges were last minute, an art teacher from the school that we pulled in on the day because somebody canceled.
I wanted to be a little careful with how I referred to these people's faces, because I'm like, she's probably friends with these people. Do you know what I mean? Like, one's probably the director and or whatever. But
yes, you are correct. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Good. I have more things to say about their faces, but we'll get to it.
Well, their faces were perfect for me because this was a realistic, genuinely authentic performance because I was reacting to what I was given, which was the incredible amount of tension in the room was real. Everything was real. In terms of the metaphors and the subject matter, it was absolutely within. Talent is not enough. There's so much talent. You have to fit within a specific criteria. That in itself is quite a challenge. Constantly battling with what you think people want versus what they see. Understanding what they see in you is part of the battle. And I wanted to discuss and use music and a non-dialogue style to allow audiences to immerse themselves completely in what this actress was really feeling and going through. I am not enough. This is not enough. And that's really what this was about, was How much are you willing to sacrifice to just even get an opportunity to be seen or have feedback, which is so important? We don't get feedback when we audition. We don't get comments or suggestions that would help shape us as artists along the way. And the few people or casting directors or people, industry professionals that you do get that from, it's absolutely invaluable to have somebody invest in you as an artist and just give you that little bit of hope. So I think that with me too, I was so scared to do that piece. And I remember once we cut from the first take, one of the judges burst into tears and said, "I really hope you make it, because it was just so real, and it was just so good, and I really felt you." And that was really great for me to have that connection with her. And I felt this genuine sort of almost like a catharsis between us, where I felt understood. And at the beginning, I didn't really know it. It was stark. It was awkward. It was, hi. It would just sit here and just react. And in the end, we there was a unity. So it was a great film at the time, where in a way you're doing very little, but there's so much that's being translated through in terms of message and the underlying, especially for women. I know you understand and you relate to this, but especially for women to feel like, wow, I must give so much more, and I'm going to do it almost on autopilot because it's such an innate response for us. Okay, well, which dinner do I have to go to, or who do I have to suck up to, or what do I have to sacrifice or give?
Yeah. I've got nothing
Yes.
to say about that, and I'm
Yes.
not going to read the rest of my questions. I think we should just end right there. Gary, you take the rest of this. My producer.
Gary,
I'm gonna go
help.
I'm gonna have a drink of this now very cold sweet tea.
Another cup.
Oh, it's horrible. I have two. It's none of your business how many cups I have. I'm a man. I'm allowed to have more than one cup. This is my pocket. Hey, have you ever been? How long were you in LA for? Like this time, you were there for at least 6 months because of your horse fetish, right? You were learning horses.
Yeah, it was about 6 months, but I've been back and forth for years.
Okay, because did you study there as well? Is that the thing? Like a number of years ago, you also studied there, or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to mentally do the math. What have you been starstruck? I like asking this question for viewers who've viewed this show before. Have you ever been starstruck, like on set or maybe in class?
I would like to say yes.
You'd like to say yes.
I'd like to say yes, because it just makes me more human, doesn't it? But no,
It's never happened. It's never happened.
I haven't been starstruck because I think that I've learned that when you relate to people as humans and you just remember we're all human, it really helps. It helps not engage with an unhealthy power dynamic.
You don't find that difficult to? I mean, that sounds good in theory, but you're like, you walk into a room, they're like, oh, hey, sit down. That's something. And I'm like, I've watched you for 25 years in my life. You don't have like, how do you shift? How do you mentally go? You probably wake up with a bad, your back probably hurts in the morning or whatever. Like, how do you?
Just watching their body language for me.
Okay.
I just watch body language and I seem to respond to that more. Okay. And I think we all have our inherited craziness and reactions and responses to things and insecurities and anxieties, and to allow space for that, for everyone to have that. And just because this is their job and this is their experience, it doesn't make them better than anyone. And that's something that's really powerful for me to constantly remind myself of, because we can often put people above us just purely because of what they do for work.
I do it by height. That's me. But anyway, and that's why I think I'm ready to work with Tom Cruise. So Ayesha, what can I ask how many years you've been doing this for?
I started when I would say actively
Mhm.
as a filmmaker, I would say 7 years, really wanting to write and discuss and talk about specific topics that I'm passionate about. But actively acting and self-discovery and all of that since I was 12. And I would say that I started doing it purely for confidence. I had absolutely no social skills at all. I was the kid that hid behind my mum's skirt still at 12. I didn't know how to talk to people. And I guess my perspective on the world was very, very unique. So I did it because my older sister was so confident and she was the lead in everything. And I watched her just grace the stages at high school. And I was like, how is somebody can be so loud and so sure of themselves? And I imagine she almost knew that she was going to get the roles that she went for. So having that confidence really inspired me to the point that I wished I had it. So I probably did it to be like her a bit.
Is she still in the biz?
I think she's a teacher. She's teaching, but I think she does a little bit on the side as well. Yeah.
Okay.
She's a drama teacher.
Okay.
She's really been a really, really good teacher. So she's really good at working with kids and yeah, but she was definitely an inspiration.
Okay. Is your family like all over the place, or you got one of those? Like,
No,
are there like a hunt?
They're all sort of within where we grew up. I'm the one that sort of left.
They're all in New Zealand?
No, they're all in Queensland.
Oh, okay. I like taupe. I like the taupe sheep of. I didn't realize I am the same color as this sweater. So for the viewers out there, I'll have to smile more. Anyway, where are we with questions?
So many smiling viewers.
Well, people watch this later as a rerun. I mean, I certainly do. It helps me get better. You said, do I watch myself? No, yeah. I've focused on the guest, and I'm like, that landed, that didn't land. Why did I interrupt them? That type of thing. I try and get better. I write it on a little note, roll it up, and throw it in the garbage can because, you have to be good to yourself.
Don't do it, whatever my instinct is.
Oh, speaking more about myself, I interviewed. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm right here. I'm right here. You died a little bit. You just went.
I actually was looking at my knee.
Oh, well, I'll continue looking at
my knee because it has a little nerve thing that's going. So I look down there.
Oh, I don't like that. If you need to take care of that, just put a pillow on it. A long time ago, I was helping out my buddy Gary, whose show this is. He couldn't be here today hosting because, sometimes he hits the sauce, and that's just being Scottish. But anyway, I talked. What's happening now? I can hear someone entering the room.
No, it's just the wind.
Oh, all right. So not Australian wind. You know what? I had a Post-it note put on my computer saying it's not about me. And obviously it's fallen off because I should have read it. That's the whole total story. I'll tell you later after the show, the actual story. Hey, what do you do in your downtime? Do you have downtime? What do you do in that?
No,
like you do stuff for your mental health? You exercise? Do you like kickbox? What do you do?
I like rock climbing personally. I like rock climbing, and horse riding is my downtime. Because I get to feel like I'm in my body rather than in my head. I like taking dance classes. I'm pretty into the science of it all, and it's like there's a syllabus to it, which is there's a structure to it that I've never been very good at in terms of numbers, but I'm determined to get. That's my downtime. I love picnics and long walks on the beach.
Interesting. You went another way. I was going to say picnic at Hanging Rock, bringing it back to Australia, but I'm not going to do that now.
Excellent body of knowledge you've got there.
Are you? Yeah. Mad Max, totally aware of it. Actually, a friend is working with, or just finished working with, not in Mad Max, but in the one I like better, which was the Road Warrior, the second one. There's a dude with the mohawk. He does the backflips and all that crap, and then he went off and worked. I don't know his name. He went off and worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and got killed in a bunch of movies. So yeah, we know someone who's working with that guy in L.A. or just did. Do I remember their names? I don't. Anyway, let's see. Back to the business of character. Is there any kind of character and stuff you wouldn't do? Just something you're just not interested in playing? Yeah, just not.
Yeah, the horror genre is not my favorite.
That's a genre. What about a character? What a type of character? It's a
I
romantic
don't.
comedy, but
No. I mean, I'm hilarious, so it's not that. It's the character. I would not say that at all. I'm not interested in a character. I wouldn't. I have a space, or I can imagine the backstory of most characters that I wouldn't say that I'm not interested in playing a specific character at all. No.
oh,
Very
okay, interesting. Interesting. Okay, I stopped playing terrorists a few years ago. I was like, you know what? Forget it.
The
That's
other
just me.
woman. The other woman. I'm done.
Oh, you don't want to play the other woman?
Done.
Okay. Have you done that a bit, or is that just like you're just like you have no interest? I mean, in film. I completely mean in film. I don't mean in life, please. Have you been the other woman? What a question is that?
Yeah, I've played a couple of roles of that, and I think we're really lucky to be in a time that, you know, a character, the other woman, tends to look like this, and then the girl next door tends to look like that. So now we're merging out of those parameters, which is really exciting. But absolutely, I've played the other woman. Yes.
And you're done with it. You did everything you could with the role, and you're finished.
Well, because it's so linear. It's so linear. Rather, if there's a bit more depth to it and there's a bit more of a transition of why, then I'm interested and more engaged myself. But if it's just like, oh, she's hot, and he must be, he must have money, like what? Like it's very, very standard. However, I find it hilarious when you see who you're matched with. It's like, would you actually see her with him ever? And sometimes you just wouldn't imagine it. So I'm there going, while I'm in the moment.
Very nice. When you said she is very hot, he must be rich, you actually described how my parents met. So thank you for that. Now let's see what else. Hey, you were in a thing. I don't know if it's a show. Maybe it's a show. It was called Life Challenge. Is that a thing? Was it like what the heck was that? It looked like a Survivor thing. What was that?
It was a documentary.
Okay.
It was a great documentary. In fact, I'm working with the owner of Adventure Kokoda, which is a fabulous organization and business that helps Australians, international people explore and understand the journey of Australia more authentically by going on the Kokoda Trail, traveling to Papua New Guinea, and doing the 10-day trek, which is extremely grueling. You're trekking through torrential rain. It's a very therapeutic and enlightening experience. I never felt more Australian than after being on that trek. I mean, you go through a moss forest. You learn about the soldiers that sacrificed their life for our freedom. You learn more about the war, the timelines, and that sort of information isn't available to us in the school syllabus growing up at all. We get taught sort of fairy tales, and Captain Cook came and the Aboriginals, and that's it. We don't really understand World War II and the complexities of it and the amount of sacrifice that really should make us live with a lot more gratitude. So it was an amazing experience. It took 5 Aussie Australian sort of artists, celebrities, unique Australians on this trek, and we sort of understood the power of mateship, of courage, but it really puts you in the moment, because all you can do is put one foot in front of the other. You can't worry about what you don't have. You can't stress about what's going on at home. And so 2 years later, after that, I went back again and I did it again as a 2IC. And I personally learned so much more about how to be a good leader, and how to be how to make sure that looking after people as a leader, you're not doing things for them. That was a huge lesson for me. I would always be the one going, oh, let me help you put your socks by the fire. Something wet socks.
You're freezing up a little bit, Asha, but if I could continue talking about wet socks, I had to do some shoveling today. And you know what? I didn't strap on my boots very well. Are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, I got you. I could go on another 34 seconds about wet socks, but I'm not going to, because I'm a gentleman. Now, okay, so how long has that program been going on for, this life challenge thing? How many years have they been doing it for?
Life Challenge is the name of the documentary, Adventure Kokoda.
I said life challenge because I can't pronounce Adventure Kokoda. Did I do it right?
Kokoda, yeah.
Kokoda.
The Kokoda trail.
The trail. Yes. I can't do it without an accent. I can't do it without an accent. Kokoda. All right. How long has that been going on for?
Adventure Kokoda has been going on for quite some time, and the leader and one of my favorite people, Charlie Lynn, is 77, and he just completed his 100th trek. So he has now been a leader on this trek for 100 times. Can you believe it? He's trekked that, and he's getting ready to do his 101st trek in April next year. I mean, he's he's about as authentic and true blue as they come. So he's a mentor and dear friend of mine, and I would say he saved my life on the trek.
Wow. A shout out to Charlie Lynn. And
yes.
Speaking of 101th, which is not a word, but English wasn't my first language, you are on our 101st episode of this thing.
No.
Our 100th episode was last week. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so congratulations. You got there before Charlie did. Asha, do you want to... The next couple of things, are you looking at your knee again? Or is your watch down there? You're like, man, oh man, when will this guy stop talking? Which one is it? We're buds now. You can tell me about your knee watch. I don't care.
Just
Okay. You want to take us? That's a large bottle of water.
It's the only way I can measure how much I drink.
How is the drinking water over there, by the way? Right out of the tap. You guys cool with right out of the tap?
Yeah, it's good out of the tap. I'd say it's a lot better than LA for sure.
Okay.
LA, you come back after a shower, you're like, why is this chalk all over me?
Okay. Shout out to LA. Now, let's see. I was going to ask you, these projects coming up. You're in a couple of features that are coming up next year. What did you have to? Did you also help create these things? Are you just working them as an actor? Or are you also helping?
Yeah, I'm writing now. I'm writing and I'm a co-creative. So I really come up with the concepts, and I'm working on 2 major feature films next year that are going to be huge for me to work on, because when you come up with the original concept and then you go into production as the actor, you're kind of wearing a few different hats, and it's very hard to let go of the image and idea that you had at one point of it all, and then letting go of that and trusting your team as well. That's also another major sort of challenge. But yeah, as a creative and as a content creator and script writer now, I have really understood the process of filmmaking, and now I'm absolutely ready for my first debut feature film. Ready. I'm ready.
Ready. Are you also directing the thing, or?
No.
No. That's 2 years from now. That's not me now.
I'm not
Are you heading
really.
that way? Are you heading that way, by the way?
I would not say at all at this point. I think my director journey has been about understanding the director's mind and what they think and how they think, and becoming a better actor for sure, being able to read a director better and understanding their vision. I definitely have a natural director perspective or
Mm-hmm.
style in my approach, but this is all to do with understanding myself as an actor better and being able to work a little bit more swiftly on set.
Okay. You mean like, would that be coming from an understanding of technical things, or
Technicality,
how is the
but just
how are you
timing.
speeding up? How are you speeding up?
Not so much speeding up, but just understanding the flow of it, understanding different needs at different times. I think it's something you can't really teach. It's something that you just have to have that skill set naturally, and you just need to understand how to navigate through it and learn how to read people better.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, trusting a team. Have you built what I like to call a family, like a sort of a film family? Are you working with the same sort of people again and again? You doing that?
I'm in the process of building it. Coming between America and Australia, it's very different types of personalities that you need to sort of adapt to. And I'm working on developing my team here. I've got a solid producing team with my feature film and my co-director, where we've been working on this now for a year, and with my director 2 years on this film. And it's really important, the power of team. That's just something I pride myself with, is understanding each other, learning how to communicate. And that is really in itself part of the challenge, is communicating your vision, understanding yourself enough so that you can share. Along the way, you'll have these like bumps and personality differences and discrepancies and conflicts and tension, and moving through that is absolutely part of developing a great team, you know,
Oh. Hmm.
because they say 92% of projects fall and fail because of personalities, misunderstandings, and a lack of communication. Because once you feel heard and understood, your reaction to it or your issue isn't as inflamed. You know what I mean?
I do.
Jelly bean?
Um, I heard, do you know what I mean? But then I heard jelly bean, and maybe it's because I'm hungry or missing some sugar in my life. Yeah, the
Say
only
it.
time I've ever got, say it together. Do I know what I mean? Jelly bean? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Do you know what I mean, jelly bean?
Oh, that's the
That's
thing. Is that some Australian thing? Look, I asked you before, don't use any colloquialisms over here. All right, we're in Calgary, and that's just not, that won't fly here. Now it's funny you say about the communication and whatnot, because the only time I've ever been upset on a set, and I've been on a set 1 to 500 times. The only time I've ever actually lost my temper, full Christian Bale, maybe not full Christian Bale, but like 30% Christian Bale, is when there was no communication between the director and the actor, or the director and the other actors. Or, you know, like, do I walk in this scene? Do I leave at the end? I hate burning takes. Just take 4 more seconds out of your mouth before you yell action, for the love of God. But again, it took 4 days for, constantly walking up and being like, dude, I don't know how to
direct
start.
me,
You know what I
direct
mean?
me.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty bad, though. I'm not proud of it, but never happened before, never happened since. So communication.
Yeah,
Speaking of
really
communication,
art.
speaking of that, is there any advice you give to yourself, like your 5 years ago self? Would there be anything you're like, look, honey, please don't? And you can say that because you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we spoke about this earlier, but any actor to understand the why of what they're doing and why they're doing this and why they want to act is actually part of the challenge. And I would say understanding that first before you actually go into the industry and try and get work will help you with confidence, understanding yourself, therefore being able to form better relationships, being able to form better relationships in your character work, because it's all relationships, everything, your auditions, the work is about relationships. So if you can understand why or what part of you that's broken enough to act and why you want to be seen or why you feel the sense of community or togetherness or family or whatever motivates you to do this is actually the most important part.
Well, there you go.
You go.
I thank you. And for any kids out there, there's been some knowledge dropped here. I gotta say, there's been some knowledge. We're getting very close to the hour mark, which means, I turn back into a pumpkin.
Some final words, some final wisdom.
I mean, it's from you, and I think you gave it. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about before we say adieu?
Is there anything else you would like to chat about before we say?
I'll tell you after the show, because just stick around and we'll be back in a little chat room and we won't be going live. I'll tell you why I've never been to Australia and why I'm never going. I'll tell you that.
What? Oh, because you're scared of the animals and you're scared of the spiders.
No. I'll tell you after. Anyway.
You're scared of something.
Say what?
You're scared of something.
No, I mean, I'll do it, but I shouldn't. I shouldn't. There was a time we were immigrants, we were refugees, we had to leave, and they didn't care for our last name. It was too Indian. They're just like, forget that. And yeah, my dad, when Dad was looking for a country to escape to, Australia was number 1 on his list, and Canada was like, we don't care. Can you work? Do you have a bit of cash? Yeah, right. Come on over. Yeah. And that's why they're not getting any of my tourist dollars. Now look at that. Gary, I tried not to say it on film. I'm going to get in trouble for this.
But no, that's really, really good. And I think you're so lucky now to be witnessing a time where those things are almost like part of history.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I hope it continues like that.
Come on down. We're open. We're colorful. We welcome you with your last name. In fact, we're going to be at the airport with a huge card of your last name. I'll be there.
It's time you to
on that 100th hour flight, and it's time you got on that flight.
Yeah, right. But also the goddamn spiders. So anyway, listen, I should thank you again for waking up ungodly hour tomorrow and joining us today and doing this. It's very, 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 very kind of you. Absolutely. And we wish you much success. Don't interrupt me. And we wish you much success. Go ahead and interrupt me. And yeah. So I'm gonna do that thing where I stop talking to you, start talking directly into the camera, and say some nonsense about next week. Okay. That's what's happening right now. But you stick around because I'm sure Gary will have some notes on what I've done. Okay. So thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me. Really great.
And we'll see
Bye, everybody. See you soon.
You stay. Guys, thank you so much for watching Talent Talk. I've been Chingaze. Next week, I believe Gary's going to be here with another fabulous guest. I'm not even going to try and say their name or remember because I screwed up the last time. So there you go. Thank you again. Take care. And that's it.